So again, we're at the transforming your business section. Let's move forward and start with our case study. The first advice is to engage. Make sure to engage with your target audience. Your mission is to create a community online and not just act as if you're a magazine or a TV station talking to the people. One example for the exchange is What Are You Here For? The campaign that we've had on our website. Each member can go on the exchange website and type in what they're here for in one word. So we could see examples on the website, for example. Next, please. Again. So Angelina, for example, I'm here for passion, posted 2 minutes ago. All of these pieces of content can be reused in marketing campaigns. Always try to create a campaign that is based on the people themselves. Next. Keep one story from A to Z. And what does that mean? Make sure that your whole campaign has one story. And in the exchange, we've done that. We did not only rely on the logo or on the material that is on the billboards or on the signage. Even on the fence that is on the street, let's take a look. I'm here for security. These faces, they tell stories. Always remember to keep one story from the macro level to the micro level while you're marketing. Next, please. Make sure you drive sales through experience. Next. If you visited our booth, you may notice that we have the virtual reality headset. If you put it on, you can feel as if you're inside the project. And this is very important. It's no longer the times where you can just knock on doors and try to sell people a washing machine like they used to do very long ago. Now you need to sell them through experience. You need to make them feel as if they're there. Next. Let's move on. Advertise for conversion. Long ago, advertising online meant driving traffic, getting people to your website. Now things have changed. It's no longer about getting the people. It's about getting them to convert. It's about getting them to actually take an action or buy something online. So always remember this word in mind when you're talking to your agency. Remember, it's all about conversion. Next. Increase your reach. So I've asked many of you about how many fans you have or what is your reach. Now is the time to reach more people. And we're no longer restricted to Ghana itself. You can create a campaign targeting the Ghanaian diaspora all over the world. You can pay money very efficiently, and you can only pay per clicks. So make sure that you always expand your reach and target the people that you want to reach. Next. We have 100,000 fans at the exchange, and we wouldn't exchange them for the whole world, and that's true. Listen first, sell second. This is the golden slogan of the social media. Always make sure to listen to your fans. Some examples of what we've seen on the page. It's going to be so amazing. I have watched and listened to their interviews, and it's great. You are an inspiration. Amazing quotes, but also make sure to also listen to the negative things that are said on your page in order to improve your business and make it reflect internally. Create content. I'm going to show you some pieces of content that we've shared online that have gotten amazing feedback. So this is the I Am Here For campaign. Let's move forward. Again, this is the teaser part here for life. So I'm here for life. This is all about creating content. When you create a visual that is this outstanding, people will remember it and will share it around. This is during the Independence Day, 60 and going stronger. Christmas. For every type of holiday or every type of event or idea, make sure you create the visuals that will leave an impact on people. Thank you. Building the future of Ghana, one horizon at a time. Okay, so we have one last part. I know you're looking at me to cut it short, but we have one last part. Please go ahead. Next. So here we're talking about games. There's something called gamification of business, and you need to remember that word because it's the trendy thing now. Whenever you create any type of new business or service, make sure you create a game out of it. And when I say game, I don't necessarily mean Tetris or something that's fun, that has balls flying around. No, it can be actually a type of a game that is functional, that lets people use your service and at the same time win points or stars or experience points. Let's move forward. So for example, here we're asking people to share their blessings and win. Next. Show us the most affectionate photo with your mom and win an LCD TV. All of these games, they make a very big difference. Okay, so let's move forward now, please. Again. So the last part is transforming you. I'm going to do this quick, but this is very important. We need to do the transformation to be inside out. It cannot start with our business. It needs to start on the inside. Let's go through them one by one. So first, you need to choose your mission. Make sure that you and everyone around you, especially the youth, have a mission that they believe in, whether it may be human rights, nature, business, whatever you might think of. Next, pick the tools. You need to know all the tools that are available digitally for you. Next, market yourself. Tell the youth, especially the Ghanaian youth, not only to concentrate on their business, they need to concentrate on themselves as well. They need to market themselves as people. Build an angels network. Mobilize the WhatsApp that you have. Make sure all your network and your PR is mobilized. Next, expand your reach. We've talked about it. Be a positive influence while impacting others. Remove all obstacles, especially if you're a political party or you're in government. Make sure you do not keep obstacles between you and other parties or other government entities, because people online, they really want to have a positive feeling and a positive impact. Believe in signs that come all around you. Connect with people that you feel you should connect with, people that might elevate your cause. And finally, I'd like to end with this quote. So never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed individuals can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. By Margaret Mead. So let us transform our ideas, our businesses, and ourselves in order to transform Ghana and transform Africa and transform actually the whole world. Thank you.
And we say many thanks to you, Ralph from Kung Fu. And if I give him the chance, he has a thing for every business, including the Invisible Forces and Delta Force. But ladies and gentlemen, the last panel with all the concluding remarks will last no more than 35 minutes. I promise you that. Exactly 6 o'clock, we'll be out of here. May I now hand you over to our amazing moderator, Mr. Mano. Take it away.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, the CEO Summit, for making this event possible, and thank you for the sponsors. I know all of you are waiting for the last bit. This is the most important, not to negate all the other ones. This is digital transformation. How are we going to transform the economies within Ghana and Africa using technology, using digitization, using great ideas? And if you want to have your dinner tonight, you have to stay and listen to all these smart men and women who are joining me tonight, this evening. I'm very, very honored to be your moderator. As I mentioned earlier, this is the most critical part of this whole summit, and thank you, Ernest de Graaf, for saving the best to last. All right, so I'm joined here by some amazing talent. If I mention your name, please let them know who you are and a few words, what you do, and then we'll move on real quick. We're gonna be short, but it's gonna be very insightful. The agenda is very simple. You will learn something, you leave here with an MBA tonight. And it's gonna be in digital transformation and digital innovation. So we have with me Mr. Amir from Tigo. A few words.
Hi, I'm Amir Abdelazim. I'm the CTIO for Tigo Ghana.
Excellent. Let's give him a round of applause. And we also have Mr. Philip Sowah, the CEO for Africawave Telecom. And we have Mr. Robert Ballat, CEO for Ghanaweb.
Hi, I'm Ballat. I'm the founder and the CEO of Ghanaweb, also known as Ghanaweb. Thank you.
All right. Did you guys hear him? Ghanaweb, a Dutch-based company that's been in Ghana for a long time. They are sharing content for us. And then, unfortunately, the CEO for IPMC couldn't join us. Next, we have Mr. Cecil Sunkwa-Mills. See him.
Cecil, MUltichoice.
Everybody knows MUltichoice. Let's give him a round of applause. And we have my good friend, Kofi Dadzie.
Hello. Rancard Software Technology.
Rancard Software Technologies. And then we have Madam Yolanda Zoleka Cuba,
Yeah. Hi, I'm the CEO of Vodafone Ghana.
the CEO of Vodafone Ghana. And Mr. Mohammed Lawal Rafiel.
Hello, I'm the CTO for MTN Ghana.
The CTO for MTN Ghana. For those of you that don't know, CTO stands for Chief Technology Officer. So he runs the network. We also have Professor Kweku Atuahene Gima. I think he didn't make it tonight. All right, we also have Madam Angela Chiramantin Jimo.
Hi, my name is Angela. I'm the country manager for IBM Ghana.
IBM Ghana. We also have Albert Bigger on the table. All right, he didn't make it. All right, without further ado, this is the most exciting part. As you know, technology is driving everything. Information is in the live stream of every business. If you're here and you have a business, which I believe you do, and technology is not a key part of your business, the chances are your business might not do too well. It might not catch up with the wave of change that is happening. And the term has been thrown around quite a bit in terms of what digital innovation is. So Angela is going to take the lead and really dissect that for us and give us some clarity on this whole term. How do we use this? Where are we? What is digital innovation in simple terms? And how do we use that to transform our business? And where are we in this journey?
Okay, so I think I'm going to use this one. Hi, good evening. Good evening, everyone. Are we still awake? Good evening, everyone. Okay, so I'm very glad to be here. All protocol is observed. I think I like what the moderator said, that this is going to be an MBA lesson in digital innovation and where we are as an economy, how far we've come, and what has really caused this revolution that everybody is talking about. So I'll set the stage by, first of all, defining what we mean by a digital innovation economy, right? So in very simple terms, and for the purposes of this conversation, digital innovation or a digital economy is basically using advanced technology to address some of the issues that we have in terms of creating competitiveness and also advancement and well-being of the society. Now, what has caused this revolution? Why is everybody talking about digital innovation? Everywhere you go, everywhere you read, we just, at the last World Economic Forum, there was a big debate on digital innovation and the importance of digital innovation for the economy right now. So in my opinion, I think 5 main technology trends have collided to create what we call a digital economy. What am I talking about? I'm talking about hyperconnectivity. I'm talking about supercomputers. I'm talking about cloud computing. I'm talking about cybersecurity and artificial intelligence. Watson, it's something that comes to mind. How have we created computers that can now understand, reason, and learn? All these technologies have come together to create a world that is very interconnected, is instrumented, and is intelligent. And it's forcing businesses and governments to rethink and reimagine how we create value, how we make decisions, and how we even distribute value, what we create. So it's very important for us to understand the importance of digital economy. And now let's look at Ghana. Where are we in this journey? Right, and to buttress what I think the last panel, somebody said that Ghana is not doing badly as a nation. I totally agree, but there's still room for improvement. And I like what the World Bank country manager said. He said we should not compare ourselves to just sub-Saharan Africa. So if you look at the index for sub-Saharan Africa, Ghana is among the top 10 countries that are doing very well in terms of digital economy. We are actually number 9, with Mauritius being number 1. Now let's move to the world stage. Now, before we even go there, let me now break it down to when you talk about digital economy, what are the different levels? And how do we place Ghana? So there are 4 distinct levels when it comes to digital economy. The first level is the constraint level. The constraint level are economies that are struggling to even come up with the infrastructure, the skills, and the affordability of ICT. They're struggling to build the building block for us to advance using ICT. Now, the level 2 is the emerging level. The emerging level, we look at countries like Ghana. Most of the African countries actually fall within this emerging level. And the emerging level, we've been able to create the building blocks. We've laid the foundation. We have the infrastructure. If you look at Ghana, for instance, 27.8% of people have access to the internet, according to the internet, according to a survey. I've forgotten the name of the survey, but I think it's internet.com stats or something like that. Anyway, so 27.8% of the economy has access to the internet. But how affordable is that? So the purpose of this conversation today is how do we move from level 2, which is the emerging level, to level 3, which is the transitional level? And who are the stakeholders? When we talk about the stakeholders, we're looking at the government, we're looking at businesses, and we are looking at individuals. We want to be able to walk away from here, equipping the CEOs, the government, to say, look, for us to move to the next level, what roles do we have to play? Because it's very obvious that the countries that are at the advanced level, who are like the countries like the UK and all that, they are deriving 20% economic benefit from being at that advanced level. So the purpose of today's discussion with all the panel members here is to work with the government, to work with the individuals, to work with businesses, and walk away with what do we have to do as a nation to move to the next level. So on that note, I will hand it over to the moderator.
Thank you, Angela. I mean, that was a very detailed definition. You're about 80% past your MBA score. We're going to get there soon. But in anything, there's a journey. And Ghana has certainly started this journey. I remember about 20 years ago when mobile phones emerged properly. If you had a mobile phone, you were the main man. There is a gentleman, Philip Sowah, you know this very well. I remember, I was very young when you started. And tell us how far have we, gone on this journey with this digital innovation? I mean, from Zain to Airtel, how far have we, advanced? Has there been any progress, basically?
No, thank you very much. Actually, it goes even before then. My wife used to work for Millicom in those days. So my family started in telecom a long time ago. No, but a lot has happened, and I think the key piece for us is that the telecom landscape has moved so quickly that now everything we used to do what they do on network PCs, we're doing on tablets and mobile phones. And if you look at the investments that the network companies have put in place, and then you have the new ISPs. I think we put in the base for this digital transformation to take place. But then technology doesn't move itself. And I think the key thing, and this for me, the key point to government is that I think government can be a key driver of the next wave of transformation. For example, I don't see why we still sell forms for passports or any kind of government document. We have mobile money in just about all the operators. I don't see why we don't now enforce the movement of using mobile money without cashing out and taking out cash to go buy. So I think we've come a very long way. All the major investment has been done. I mean, there's still connectivity to rural areas and some of the other things yet to be done. But a lot of the infrastructure is in place. And so I think it's now us as business people to utilize that infrastructure that is on the ground.
Interesting. Just last week, how many of you know Paul Kagame? There was an African event, and he said, technology is changing the world very rapidly. And if Africa gets it right, just like we've leapfrogged with the phones, we will actually leapfrog in all the other sectors of our economy. So technology is not the afterthought. It's not, okay, the business is set up, now we need some computers, now we need to have some internet. The whole business ecosystem has to evolve from day one. From the center of your business plan, technology has to be the key part. But coming to the services or the benefits of this digital innovation, this goes to Amir. Oftentimes, you know, around your office area, right? Everybody's using Tigo. There are a lot of technological benefits of the network. What have you seen as one of the drivers for the youth, and because they cannot be left behind? What have you seen from the youth adopting or starting early to use these mobile devices to drive the experience of, you know, taking care of day-to-day business services?
Thank you. I would like actually to start by saying that the digital economy itself is part of an ecosystem that is a digital lifestyle of the generation that we are dealing with. So starting by the youth, actually we're talking about the millennials generation. This is the generation that lost patience, actually, when it comes to information and knowledge that is required for it. So they are actually the main drivers of the digital transformation, and you can witness it actually on every activity they are doing. So I would like to tell you two differentiators when it comes to the digital transformation. What made it very different from all the different transformations that the world have seen in the previous 100 years is the individualization of the experience. And then the other part of it is the crowdsourcing of the experience. So in no time, actually, the youth have moved from the fact that they are our consumers, that they are the driver, actually, of the whole economy itself. So I would like you just to think, how would iOS or Android look like if there was no App Store? It was a clear example of moving it to the crowd, to do these apps and develop the apps and move it forward. So back to your question, what we see now is that that generation, the young people, have moved from the fact that they are just a user of the internet like the previous generations, so they are the developers of the internet. They are the developing of the whole industry. So having said this, I think I would urge the government, if there is a real motive to move and evolve the digital economy, is that we need to measure ourselves against how many digital incubators we have for these young generators and how many we are giving the affordability for them to have what is required to generate their ideas and transform it and then drive the whole generation. That would require infrastructure, that would require connectivity, that would require cybersecurity, as Madam has mentioned as well.
Excellent. So individualize the experience. Government should be part of the strategy and the definition or the transformation experience. There's another gentleman, Robert, you've been around for quite some time. I remember when I was in the States, Ghanaweb was where you normally would go to get content about Ghana and what's happening in Ghana. How is content development and credible data helping in this digital transformation that we're seeing? What is the quality of data that we're getting, and how can we learn from that to help businesses or sort of leverage the same processes in acquiring credible data in their day-to-day experience?
Okay, now let me tell you something about Ghanaweb. Basically, it's focused on a very old idea, the free flow of news, information, and to facilitate people in expressing themselves. Ghanaweb, apart from a news platform, is also a medium of freedom of expression. And those are values, well, older than digital age, but it becomes possible at an unprecedented scale because of the new digital facilities we have, the internet, cloud computing, etc. The quality of data. How do we control the quality of data? basically, we do it the old-fashioned way, by having a big team on the ground, consisting of journalists, selecting the news, verifying the news, cross-checking it as much as it is possible, and publishing it. What makes it different from a newspaper? The difference is that we can do it 24 hours per day. If something happens, like for example, a couple of years ago, President Mills died in the night, we are able to report on it, bring the facts, and well, such things wouldn't have been possible 20 or 30 years ago, when we only had newspapers. So these are the changes which have been possible by the digital economy.
Excellent. So basically, the quality of data is handled by
humans.
Your big team, basically.
Yes, basically by humans, and in the process, we create job opportunities for people here in Ghana. We have quite a big staff of journalists, and you get a nice income, good working conditions through this new medium.
Thank you. Quality of data is very important. Garbage in, garbage out. In the digital era, the quality of data is very key. It's the center of all decision making. One of the things we've seen is just as the youth are connected, they're connecting. The content is being delivered. We have web presence. People no longer have to buy newspaper. They just go online and scan content. There's something that's very critical as well. The businesses wanting to get their connected offices. They're looking at, okay, we no longer want to run long cables. Why can't we become wirelessly connected? So Yolanda, you've been around in the past, when you hear telecom, the first thing that comes to mind in Ghana is Ghana Telecom. Now it's Vodafone, right? How are we connecting the businesses? How do we get the businesses included in the connected ecosystem?
Yeah, I think, firstly around the whole issue around digitization and why is digitization first a revolution? The reason is very simple, is that it's actually moving input cost to near zero. That's the reason why this thing is working. It's not because of some magic that people are coming up with. Because if I wanted to send a package from here to somewhere, today I can actually send it via email at a cost of 0.0001 pesos, okay? Just imagine 50 years ago, I needed to employ someone and actually get someone with a car or a chocho or whatever and actually move them physically from one location to the other and costing me money. That's the reason why this thing is a revolution. And I think there is an underappreciation in a lot of quarters that I walk into of how much digitization actually will change the way we do things and how much it actually has changed the way we actually do things today. So for me, it's important that we actually understand that if my input costs were near zero, what more would I do? You know, because those are the questions that we're actually not asking today as Ghanaians and as people in Africa, because that's the game changer. The game changer is actually understanding that and actually using our thinking capability, not technology, thinking capability in order to actually facilitate that. For me, that's the first thing. The second thing, which is actually been only done by the mobile operators so far that I've seen, is that they've actually taken things that were difficult to do and democratized it. Okay. And what I mean by that, for example, is communication. 20 years ago, how many times did you communicate with your mother in another country or in another province? You wrote her a letter once every month, or you actually call someone and it's a house with the phone which was a landline connected by Ghana Telecom. Okay? And it would be once a month or twice a month, and someone had to call someone to actually, in order for you to make that connection. Today with mobile phones, with the mobile operators, what have we done that is different that allows you to talk 20 times a day to someone? 20 times a day, from less than 0.00 per month to more than 20 times a day. You know what we've done? We've actually democratized how we charge for data. We democratize how we actually charge for communication. And for me, once we start applying that kind of thinking again to some of the big issues that we have, then that's where we're actually going to actually ignite this revolution. Because if you think about it, if we applied that to healthcare today, if we applied it to how we collect rates today, you know, if we started government saying, actually, instead of collecting rates once a month, I'm actually going to collect it every day, but I'm going to collect it as 10 pesos per day. All of a sudden, government coffers actually increase because people are willing to actually pay 10 pesos a day. So how do we use the logic of micro payments, micro utilization in order to drive that? Because today, when someone calls, they actually are using less than, in effective charge, most probably of somewhere in the region of 5 to 10 pesos. And that's why they don't mind actually calling 20 times. So how are we driving this kind of thinking? For me, it's more around the thinking. How do we drive that kind of thinking within everyone, within Ghana, within our youth, so that we are not just consumers? The complex economy that was spoken about earlier today, around how do we diversify our economy? That's what the lady from the Oxford group actually was talking about. How do we create a compound kind of economy? For me, we actually start doing that by actually utilizing digital. How do we use internet to actually be able to provide services and actually charge for services that we previously actually haven't charged for? And how do we then educate our youth and everyone in the economy in order to actually start creating value through digital as a platform? So for me, that's how I look at it first. And then the issue of connectivity then comes in. How do we make sure that we have sustainable connectivity? Today, obviously because of our legacy Ghana Telecom kind of business as Vodafone, we have the widest reach in terms of fixed infrastructure in the country. That does give us an absolute advantage around actually providing fixed, because data actually requires good bandwidth. You know, we are lucky in Ghana because we have multiple undersea cables that actually land in this country. I mean, if you actually go further north, it rely on Ghana to actually get their connectivity so that they can get internet connectivity. In Ghana, we have it right here. But are we utilizing it for growth? And that's really where I'm almost challenging even my team in the business to say, are we thinking digital first? Are we thinking that we actually have to use the connectivity, the internet, as the way to actually think about product, how we think about including people? Because with technology, you know, the one thing you can do that you couldn't do previously is that you can include more people. You know, a week ago, we launched something actually that everyone has said it's amazing, where we actually created a call center for people that are hearing and speech impaired. And for the first time, they said someone actually is thinking about us. Because just think about it, if you are in excluded economy, community like that, how do you interact with people? How do you get services? Because you can't call and say, hello, can I please get the service? They can't. So you actually have to give solutions for them that allows inclusion. Financial inclusion, for me, M-Pesa and the mobile money services that you're seeing today. Those are all around inclusion. In Kenya, Safaricom, which is our sister company within the Vodafone Group, actually pioneered mobile money services. And today, they can give you empirical evidence of how much of the GDP of the country is contributed because of the things that we're actually doing today. Last week, I was at the payment councils here at the BOG, and basically, the whole thing was around how much money we print. If we actually can eliminate the printing, we actually will allow ourselves to take that money and invest it in social programs, in education, in hospitals, in other areas where we actually are able to actually make a meaningful impact in society. So for me, connectivity is but one of the issues. However, how do we think digital? How do we think in a way that is not bricks and mortar, and actually say, if my cost of production was near zero, what is it that I would do? Rather than, I need X million or X thousands of CDs before I can actually start a business. You can start a business today. with almost nothing. And I would like to encourage all the youth to do that.
Wow. For those of you who stay, definitely you're going to get your MBA tonight. And this is evident in terms of the value of what digital innovation could do and transformation. It's actually basically touching lives, improving lives, right? There's something that happens in a community. When I was young as well, we used to gather around the television, and all we used to watch was black and white TV, right? There was no other station. It was GTV, and that was it. In this digital economy, some things have changed. There's more choice. There are more options. Connectivity costs have gone down. IPTV for the hotels and things like that. Cecil, walk us through what you're doing, what the context looks like for the future ahead in terms of where media plays a big role in this whole ecosystem for businesses as well.
I think for content, it's come a long way, like you said. We started off with analog terrestrial, which was in the 90s, and we moved on to satellite, which enhanced distribution and quality of the pictures. And then we've moved and added digital terrestrial now. And now we're talking about what we call multi-room, and multi-screens. And that is in line with the developments happening, especially in the telco section. And we've had collaborations with the telcos in terms of delivery of service, payment systems. I think we're one of the first companies to have partnered with the telcos to enhance payment through mobile money traditionally, and this has now been done remotely. For businesses, we have extended coverage. We've now moved to IPTV for, you know that in hotels you get a much better signal and other information in terms of what the people in the hotel do receive. But in line with all this development in Ghana specifically, there's a need, and I think we should look at that slant of what government has to do to drive this whole growth and innovation. We are quite weak when it comes to the organization of the regulatory framework. As we speak, we've not migrated to digital on terrestrial aspect, which is going to happen. But we've seen a lot of TV stations coming up. There's no control on content being shown, irrespective of age restrictions, etc. And these are things that tend to go back, and it eventually hits what you call, which people do not immediately connect with, which is the creative industry. Now, for creativity of content, the main channel with the biggest return is theater, cinema, and pay TV, before you move on to free-to-air and other channels online. Because there's a need to have a revenue model to support creativity. So you would find comparatively in different countries, even in some countries in Africa, the strength of content because of return is much better. So it's important that this section and government looks at how they can look at some models that have been done to structure regulation, tax structure. As we speak now, Ghana has the highest tax bracket across Africa for subscriptions. Nigeria is 5%. We do about 25% in Ghana. So if you look at the projected growth in the sector, for some countries projected for 2016, they have exceeded what was projected. Ghana sits at around 23%, which is the lowest. Of course, we've had our power challenges, etc. So with that kind of support from government, I believe there's a lot of room for growth. We work together with other pay TV companies. We've actually formed a consortium, and we're beginning to engage government to look at issues of taxation and regulation to allow the business to grow. I think we should be about 5-6 times the numbers that we have now. And this is where we think we want to focus, and then we can support the creative industry, which includes sports and movies, etc., and then we can get what we want.
Wow, I've learned so much. I missed you, I think, from the early. Please introduce yourself.
Sure, I was going to say, it looks like I'm the odd one out here, so which is why you missed me.
Leave the best to last.
Exactly. So my name is Bright Owusu Amofa. I'm the CEO for Apollonia Development Company. And Apollonia is a mixed-use city for 90,000 residents just on the outskirts of Accra. I believe in the organizers' own wisdom. There's probably a reason why they put me on this panel. As I said, my company is not directly involved in IT or ICT. But I believe all these digital transformation, innovation we're talking about relies heavily on infrastructure and planning. So one of the key things that we are doing as a company, for instance, is that, even before we launched the project or we executed, there's a whole ICT master plan for the entire city, which is what I believe should be the way forward, in partnering with governments and local private developers to be able to push this digital transformation that we're talking about. It relies on infrastructure. So we first of all need to plan. I think we've all seen the likes of a lot of telcos digging our cities and putting in fiber optic ducts. That shouldn't be the way. We, for instance, have retrofitted all our roads with ICT ducts already. So when the market and the demand comes, the telcos only have to come in and blow that fiber. We're also thinking about digital transformation. I was reading this research where, for instance, in buying property, the key consideration that most people look at is location. Now, if you look at the recent trend, that is changing because research shows that about 30% of people are now working from homes. What this means is that we need to start thinking about the future. In 10 years' time, will people be thinking about location when they're buying property? Probably not. So again, this should go into our planning and should go into the way the digital transformation is being implemented. And these are all things that we should consider. And I believe it's not just the job of all distinguished gentlemen and ladies sitting in the ICT and telco industry. It's the onus lies on the likes of developers, government, and other players in the industry to ensure that we are putting our best to ensure that we promote the industry. All right, thank you.
I've been to your site. It's beautiful.
Thanks.
The road network is also very great. And the reason you're on the panel for the businesses represented here is from the business user side, what are some of the dependencies that you rely on to make sure your business becomes successful? What will be the impact if, for example, there's no internet in your community? How many users will even decide to buy, right? They could take the dongles, they could take their phones, but they might not have the reliable internet that is requisite for doing proper business. So I think you're right on the money. Rancard, we've read about you. Typically, a lot of people don't innovate. They iterate. They repeat things, right? And what some of the innovative companies are doing in Ghana, such as Rancard, you've leveraged what's already been built and created value-added services and solutions and software to make life more easier for us. So where the software and where's the human capital component plays in this digital innovation. You and I worked in Dell. You see how much the businesses invest in terms of human capital development. Right? It's very, very essential. You could go to law school, start a nice law firm, or start a banking ecosystem or a bank, and technology becomes the center. If the network is down, the business has stopped. Where is the human capital component coming from to transform this digital innovation business thing we're talking about?
I like to partner with universities like Ashesi, but on multiple levels. Last year, I took my 8- and 7-year-old kids to the Ashesi AIX. It's a robotics fair. And they basically observed the open day with the smart homes these high school kids had constructed with LEDs and sensors and fans switching on and off with signals and stuff like that. And then they watched the last stage, which was a competition. And it's beautiful listening to my 9-year-old daughter describe verbatim what she saw. And she actually uses the technical terms and says it was a factory environment and there were these, it's even escaped me, conveyor belts. And so you had these robotic arms that these teams had built, and they had to lift these objects. They had to have their robots walk a particular path and then go and deposit them. Now, it's interesting watching these kids do that, watching my daughter do that, because 6 months later, she was building in 2.5 days a 350-plus part crawling robot, mechanical and electronic parts. And it was so amazing watching her do it. I videoed it because I knew afterwards if I described it to her grandparents, they'll be like, did you help her? I just watched. It's really important that when we talk about removing barriers, when we talk about building human capital, the things that we need to do are to just put the stuff in people's hands and let them try. Because all the great innovators, inventors, and engineers of the world were people who took things apart, who were given permission when they were kids to take things apart and put them together today. In Rancard, our SVP engineering, Bento, who went to Harvard and Dartmouth and worked at Vitesse Semiconductor and all of that, when he describes his upbringing, what he constantly says is his parents allowed him to take anything apart. So he grew up doing what he enjoyed, taking things apart, putting them back together today. The sort of stuff which he's leading on in Rancard today in voice music fingerprinting. Now what's interesting is if you are operating in an advanced economy, you don't really solve hard problems. The hard problems are solved first in the universities and research institutions like DARPA. And then the R&D is matured in places like IBM Labs and HP and other places. And then by the time your average engineer is doing something neat, there are all these layers. When you're in an economy like ours, and you're dealing with the raw aspects of the 3 L's of engagement, language, literacy, lifestyle. And so a significant part of the population still just wants to talk. They don't want to text, they don't want to type, they don't want to be behind a laptop, they just want to talk. But they want the same services. They want everything that the people in this room enjoy. Then it means you have to build yet another fundamental layer of technology. You have to understand how to do very basic things like voice authentication. Voice music fingerprinting means that, for instance, somebody can use a phone call, which is low-quality audio, being relayed over your telephone switch, and then process the data that comes over that, and then translate it to the cloud, match it all in real time, and give them value back. What we're doing in Rancard today is to take an AI layer, right? So you're going to do first telephony voice, voice to text, right? Text to language, because they may have called in Ga or Tree or Hausa. That's the language they choose to speak, not necessarily because the person isn't literate, but it's a language choice or it's a lifestyle choice. And for most of you businesses here, if I go around the room looking behind at the banners and stuff back there, many of you have a large class of customers you can't reach and can't engage effectively because you're not able to reach them how they want to engage. But if you go through these layers, after you translate voice to text, then you can do natural language processing. Eventually, with increased machine learning, as we build this data translation layer, you're actually able to get the answers right. Now look at your knowledge base, or if you're using voice authentication, actually log them into their account. But for the user, they're doing it the way they want. I think this is what technology is all about. It's about relevance. If we're going to go back to this old term of bridging the digital divide, people don't talk about that a lot. It's about using technology to reach people in a way that is relevant to them. That's the only way we're really going to get to the last mile and the billions outstanding, is to build these technologies to reach them. Now, the challenge of the engineers, like myself, operating in these developing economies, is to build a new layer of technology that gets to people, overcoming these 3 L's, language, literacy, and lifestyle.
Wow.
And Mr. Amano, I can hear the telcos clearly saying, you have 1 minute remaining.
Whoa. Anyway, thank you for the reminder. We're almost done. MBA class is soon to close. And I'll leave the last question to Mr. Mohammed. Government is trying very hard to meet the scale of our e-governance index. Right now, we're around 123. Nigeria, by the way, is 144 on the list, right? This is the United Nations index. And you've been in Nigeria. You've seen the challenges that Nigerians have dealt with in terms of scale, right? Ghana is very small compared to Nigeria. Where are we? Where are the opportunities between business and government to allow us to collaborate, to accelerate this whole e-standard? For example, you go to pay your ECG, and the lady there tells you the system is down. Now, ECG is government, right? They have distribution network. They rely on telcos, such as yourself, right? So you go and he or she tells you, oh, it's down. It's not our fault. ECG said it's MTN's fault, sorry. Or it's Vodafone's fault, or it's Tigo's fault. What can we do between the private sector, right, and the public sector to accelerate this journey really, really fast? Because it can impact the education. It can impact healthcare. Somebody wants to do surgery in the village. They have good internet. They can be connected to a good surgeon somewhere in the US for proper diagnosis. There's a radiology document they need to read. There's so much benefit, but there's a lot of barriers standing in our way because, one, we can't scale very fast. What are some of the lessons you've learned working in MTN, working in Nigeria, and then also running the network here?
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to start with the basic requirements for advancing digitization. And I think what we would like to leave this place with is a way forward. What do we need to do to move forward? The first and foremost thing is connectivity, as you have described, the basic infrastructure that is required for these machines or these people to connect and be able to carry out normal activities in a digital way. In Ghana, I think there is a lot of people are connected, and I think the number has been mentioned here. However, there is need to extend that connection and make the connections that we have a lot more robust. In this area, the government can help in removing all the barriers that make the expansion difficult. For example, right-of-ways, permits, and things like that. These are things that slow down the pace of this development. So if those things are removed, I believe we can expand much faster. And then we are also, in many cases, thinking about connecting the unconnected, which is there are a lot of people in this country that today do not have any connection. So we have to collaborate with government, GIFEC, NCA, and everybody else involved to move this infrastructure to the rural areas so that more people can be connected. The more people are connected, the easier it is to digitize everything. That brings me to the second point, which is the use cases. The more use cases we have, the faster we move in this journey of digitization. Somebody mentioned forms to apply for a passport. Why is it manual? It can be digital, and it's done digital in many places. But it cannot be restricted to the people in Accra. It has to be available to the people in the villages as well, because they are also entitled to passports. So this technology has to be moved to those areas so that these use cases can be developed. And then the government can also help in introducing new use cases. For example, this is just a use case that we have discussed now. The more use cases you have, the more people become technology savvy, and the more and more use cases are going to be developed. And then to the industry, I mean, all the people that are sitting here, use cases are really important in developing these solutions. We, the technology companies, cannot think of the use cases because we are not the users. So the use cases have to come from people that have these use cases. They have to think to say, okay, this is a process that can be digitized. Therefore, let us partner with the telecom companies or the IT companies or the solution development companies and digitize this process. And there is one thing about use cases as well. There are generic use cases which are applicable around the world, but there are many use cases that are specific to certain countries or certain industries. And those use cases can only come from those countries or those industries. So I believe if we collaborate all with the government, and all the industry players to develop new use cases and to expand this infrastructure, it is going to be a lot easier and digitization is going to move a lot faster than it is today. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mohammed, Mr. Mohammed. This brings us to the end of the MBA class for digital innovation. If you need the certificates, please contact me in private in chambers. I'll get you your certificate. I think it's been very enlightening hearing from Mr. Amir from Tigo, CTO. One of the things he mentioned is we have to contextualize the experience for the youth. They are the consumers of the economy. We have more able youth today in Ghana or in Africa at large than most other developed countries. And then followed by Angela, who basically laid a foundation for us actually about where this innovation can take us. We also had a commentary from Philip Sowah saying that we've evolved. It's no longer from PCs, so the experience is no longer on desktops, right? It's now moved to the mobile phones. So let's create solutions to reach these individuals who are now on the mobile phone. Everybody's using the phone today. Let's create solutions that target mobile-first solutions, if you will. And Robert helped us a bit on this quality of data. Who are your data custodians? Are they local? Are they offshore? Who are the stewards? Who is helping you to basically cleanse your data as well? And then Yolanda took us through the practicalities of this innovation. Let's have inclusion. Let's have some cost reduction because we can save so much. If we digitize, we don't have to print currency anymore, right? If we digitize, we don't have to wait to make payments. We don't have to stand in lines in the banks, right? So there's cost reduction there. And then Cecil took us through what media could do for us in the corporate world. There's a lot of hurdles that we need to overcome in terms of the tax bracket to make the consumption of media more appealing. And then Bright definitely confirmed the need for us to grow this digital economy because they are waiting. Revenue loss is at stake. If you put the investment down and you build this infrastructure, housing, you might not actually sell out really quick. So investments must be protected on that. And then Mohammed took us to the last bit. Also, Rancard took us to the journey of starting them young. Human capital development should start young. We should create the labs and the working environments to allow our workforce, our task forces, to actually touch these technologies, right? Even at our end, we're trying to create lab experiences for corporate Ghana. And then last but not the least, let's connect the unconnected. You cannot talk digital innovation without connectivity. It's the foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Dinner is at home. And thank you for staying. All right.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Samuel Amano and his very amazing panelists, we say thank you to all of them. But ladies and gentlemen, you've been very warm, very receptive. Please give yourselves a round of applause. You're truly deserving of that. I must sincerely apologize that today took a toll on all of us because it's the opening ceremony and a lot of things went a little way out of line. But tomorrow, we assure you that we'll stick within time. The whole entire event will last from 9 o'clock to exactly 2 o'clock, and we shall bring it to the end with a very powerful gala in the evening. Tomorrow, we shall kickstart with a presentation, very short one, which would be on, I beg your pardon, a case study on the use of digital technology to transform business. Thereafter, we shall delve into the heart of the matter, digital innovation once more. But ladies and gentlemen, we'll align the board and management during corporate transformation. We shall also have growth, inclusion, and the women's empowerment panel. You don't want to miss that for anything at all. Sustainable development goals will feature very highly on the agenda. But most importantly, we'll talk about Brexit and we'll talk about its impact. Already Uganda and Kenya have broken ties with the EU and they are in close talks with the Brits. Let's see what comes out of that. Ladies and gentlemen, it will not be complete if we don't talk about Donald Trump, the latest phenomenon to hit the world. But ladies and gentlemen, let's do something special right about now. How many of our panelists and speakers do we have around still? Please show by hands, how many of our panelists and our speakers do we have still? Please rise to your feet. Let's acknowledge you with a warm round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, our speakers and our panelists, And so for keeping faith with us and lasting this long, we have something very special for you. Let's have you at the front. Let's give you a little token of our appreciation. To all our speakers and moderators, please, let's have you at the front. We beg you in all the names of God. Let's see you. A round of applause for them as they come. All our speakers, all our panelists, all our moderators, let's see you at the front. We have something special for you, just to say thank you. Tomorrow morning, ladies and gentlemen, registration will be from 7 to 8:30, and we hit the ground exactly at 9 o'clock. We'll be live on Joy 99.7 and all our other sister partner stations. Ladies and gentlemen, as tradition demands, we'll take one big photograph together, and it will be, a reminder of those who stayed faithful to the end. Can I have all of you, please, on stage? I beg you. Let's capture this moment. We will do. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, at the instance of the CEO of Vodafone, she's brought some innovation to this whole picture thing. Shall we please take our phones out and turn our backs towards the stage and make sure that we capture ourselves and a few people within the precinct of our phone? Can we try that, please? Another innovation from Vodafone. So if we're ready, ladies and gentlemen, we just say Ghana CEO Summit, and then we say hip, 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 hip. So please make sure that you capture as many people as possible with your phone. Ghana CEO Summit with the hashtag, and send it out there on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Facebook. We say many thanks to you for coming today. See you tomorrow. Good night.